Hey everybody, happy Saturday. This is an unusual video for me. Usually I save these for Sundays when I'm doing clearing the bases and sharing my screen, but I really wanted to get this video out and I don't have the time to do it the way I would like to with fancy editing, like I've ever done fancy editing and all that stuff. So I'm just going to do a quick screen share, read through a bunch of comments. This past week on Monday, I published my newsletter. The newsletter, let me share my screen here is here. This week's topic was, is sports card grading a scam? And I wrote not a ton about it. And then I asked people, is grading a scam? And so it's a poll. People could add comments to their poll. And then, of course, I wrote a lot more about other things. You can skim through, and I do my brief horror movie reviews of the week. So hopefully, hope you'll subscribe. It's at junkwaxhero.com. The link is in the description here. So I wanted to just go through some of those responses, 'cause I think a lot of them were really, really good. And so let's just jump right in. I don't want this video to be terribly long. Okay. So first of all, 75, almost 76% of people said no, grading is not a scam. And then we had 30 out of 177. So what's that? 18 and a half, 19% of people who think that grading is a scam. And then there were 13 who weren't sure. So that seems about right, I think, for what I suspected this poll would be. Obviously, I've kind of led people in with my feelings that its grading is deeply flawed currently, but it's not a scam, and so that may have impacted these results. So let's go in here. So KW Dykstra says, I wish we had graders notes. I rarely grade cards because I did a 1949 Leaf Premium Babe Ruth that my dad picked up from the original box back in 1949. It looked gem mint, but PSA graded it a 3. The highest grade is a 4, and ours looked cleaner with no defects present. Skeptic in me thinks they're told to keep pop counts low of high grades because the owner of PSA knows who owns the highest graded sample. Conspiracy theory? Yeah, and this is a common feeling. You hear all the time about the 1980 Ricky Henderson Topps card. Nobody can get a PSA 10 because I don't know, Nat Turner owns one and wants to keep the value high. This is common. It's really common. It's a problem, especially for PSA, where people say, "Well, why did my card get a low grade?" And people say, "Well, I submitted 10 cards. I got a bunch of nines, a couple of tens, then this random six. And how did that six happen? I looked this over carefully. I looked it over with a loop." And you're just not going to see the same things that PSA does because they look at them differently. They have different standards. So I totally get it. I'm not, well, let's jump back in. I totally get KW Dykstra's comment here. They should have graders notes available to everybody. You should be able to see for every card, why did this get a 3 instead of what he or she thought was a 10? And Jordan, thank you. Okay, then we have JWTLJJR. Reputable grading companies, the big four, and this person said it's not a scam. And by the way, KW Dykstra said not sure. Reputable grading companies, the big four, do a great job in protecting the card in a durable slab, in the vast majority of cases, authenticating the card. Those two reasons alone are good enough for me as to why I send cards to be graded. And I think that this, I semi agree with this person as well. I think that uh, for 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 like pre-war, for really valuable vintage, this is the case. For ultra modern, this may have been true when they were $8 a card. I'm not gonna protect or a a junk wax or ultra modern card at $20 a card. As far as the grade itself, I know it's subjective, so I don't get bent out of shape about the grade. Been equally surprised both ways. A card I got a lower grade than I thought. Card got a higher grade. At the end of the day, buy the card, not the grade. TD Sigler, I feel it is an imperfect evaluative process. Good comment. Herb Davy, something is going to give soon in the hobby. Yeah, I don't know what that's going to be. AI grading, perhaps. The more expensive the card is, the more you pay. Scam, ridiculous. This is a really, really common thought, and this person said that it is a scam. And I hear this a lot, and I don't think PSA does a good job of explaining why they upcharge people. And I'm not saying that they should do this at all, but the reason that they upcharge is for their guarantee. And I don't think they explain it well, or most people understand why they're getting upcharged. And that's another problem for PSA. It's a messaging problem. And they have to protect themselves. If they're going to guarantee grades, they have to protect themselves through those upcharges. That's their argument anyway. Whether you agree with that or not, that's not for me to say. I don't care either way. I don't have any cards that would ever get upcharged. So I can see getting upset with it, but that's not a bother for me. All right. Also another yes here. The grading companies like PSA show their standards, but grade vintage like new cards of today. I don't know how true this is, but it's a really interesting argument that I've heard before. They're harder on the cards and give lower grades to cards that should be graded higher because they do not follow their guide, the consumer, and view on their website. It's an interesting comment. And if you have any thoughts on this, please throw them in comments on this video. And then Shazer said, no, it's not a scam. For all the reasons you stated, not a scam. However, they have serious problems when they damage cards in the process of grading them. That happened to me. I hear this all the time too. This is a valid concern. If there's happens all the time where somebody says these thumbprints were not mine, or this this damage on the surface was not there when I sent it to them, and who knows? I don't know. You happen to have a batch of submissions graded by some poorly trained or just recently trained new hire junior grader, and all your cards come back with crap grades. Another very common complaint of PSA. And you have to remember, there are a lot of people touching your cards at PSA and at SGC. It's not just the one junior grader. Yeah, legit complaints. Again, not a scam, and this person said not as well. It's become a game, but not a scam. A sweet 10 card in an indestructible slab. Preserve the history of the moment in time. Robert Smith, not a scam, but not a perfected discipline yet. Prices need to come down. Accuracy and consistency go up. Yes, well said. JL Pitchford, nice to display, gives a level of authenticity. Also resale. And then Malkavian, sorry, I'm probably saying this wrong. This is Chad. Yes, different. Yeah, so we're not going to go through all the compliments here. To be honest, PSA and Beckett were always top notch in the hobby. This is F. Velasquez. I started collecting sports cars in the 80s, took a break in the 90s. It all seemed like a huge money grab. The vintage cards will always be my favorite, but the advancement in technology has forever changed the way cards are produced. Yep. And here's Scott. Not a scam. Expensive service that generates seemingly random, inconsistent results without much of an accountability. Yes. Can certainly feel scam-ish, especially if you've had a lot of misgrades. So I think it's probably more of a perception problem than a scam. Great comment. More of a perception problem than a scam. Yes, this is what I've been talking about. All right, let's keep moving here. Not a scam, but the human aspect of grading makes it somewhat inconsistent. I wish tag would catch on more in terms of value. I hear this a lot too, because I believe it's the most accurate and you get the reasons why it graded the way it did. I'm not a fan of PSA and cards being worth more than SGC or tag just because it's more popular for some reason. I hear this a lot too. I don't understand. Like some people want them all and think that they should all be the same value. Also not a fan of these services charging more based on perceived value of the card. A card is a card is a card. Yeah, I mean, I get it. Just because the value is higher doesn't change the process by which said card is graded. Grading is not used as a way to protect cards, not only used as a way to protect cards, but it also gives us a more accurate value of the card compared to the old ways. That's Nick Mindish. Sam Hutch, no, my biggest issue with grading is how arbitrary it seems. Seeing videos of people cracking a 7 and getting a 10, but that inconsistency doesn't make it a scam. Yes, you should not be able to crack a 7, resubmit it, and get a 10 from it. I can see a 9 to a 10, but you see this way too often. The 7 to a 10 or a 6 to a 10. I saw a 3.5 to an 8. the other day, which I think will be on my video tomorrow. I think I saved that for clearing the bases Sunday morning. But this inconsistency that you see consistently, especially from PSA, does not make it a scam. I think people say scam. This is Mythic. I think people say scam when they use grading companies as some sort of lottery and they don't win. Man, that's a great comment. Yes. Mountaineer, it's not a scam per se. This person says it's a scam. They selected yes. Not a scam per se, but I didn't want to say no because it's definitely something. It's always more of a gimmick. It's almost gambling. I'd say I get that, but I think it's less gambling than ripping wax. Honestly, I'm not sure what to call it. It just feels shady. The whole value grab between nines and tens feels wrong. It's the same card. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, those are valid criticisms. I don't think make it a scam. Can't wait for Mangini to watch this and comment. D. Lachey, I view grading as a personal decision with pros and cons. Things don't always work out as we would like, but that comes with the territory. I'm going to keep on going here. NC Munt said, yes, it's a scam. I believe it's something rather brilliant. Someone came up with this idea and certainly was a huge moneymaker for a few companies. Is it really necessary? I would say no. And I rather enjoy the old way of collecting and trading. Condition matters, but the cards themselves are paramount, not some graded condition that has been proven rather subjective. John Quello says yes. The lack of grading consistency between companies and shifting standards of what a grade actually means illustrate a lack of integrity in the industry. Okay, so this is a great point. Shifting standards of what a grade actually means. When you hear somebody say, well, PSA graded this 20 years ago and they've gotten tougher on grades since then, that seems like a problem to me too. For instance, the standard of what constitutes a PSA 4 is not the same as what constitutes an SGC 4. Yeah, I get this, but they're two different companies with two different standards. I don't know that they need to have the same standards. So I disagree with John here. The same point may be made of when a card was graded. A case in point is my 1957 mantle that was graded a PSA 6 at least a decade ago. This is what I was saying. This card would not grade a 6 today. The grading process is arbitrary and does not stand the test of time. I've seen lower graded cards that look better than my PSA 6 mantle and would not complain if a buyer offered me less. Right. So this is like, wow, this is a really great 1. It looks better than my 3. But it got a 1 probably because it has a, I don't know, paper loss on the back and your 3 doesn't. So these are, I get it. John, great comment. I'm not going to read through the whole thing. I think you did great here. All I need is for them to tell me if the card is authentic. As for the grade itself, the grade is meaningless, a sham, because its value varies from grader to grader and year to year. Lori, I don't know if scam is the right word, but something feels wrong about it. I have never sent a card to be graded since I started collecting in the 70s. I've purchased graded cards. Someone had an idea. Let's see if I can get some people to send me their cards. Pay me money, and I'll say that it's real. It's flawed. It's perfect. It would be perfect if not for the flaw that the naked eye can't see. Yeah, and so on. There's no turning back now, but like most things, once big money was to be made, we lost control of the purpose and fun for all it was intended. Great comment, Laurie. Warren, are there grading companies that scam? I believe yes. However, do I think the big four are scamming? No. Folks should educate themselves and make good decisions on which cards to grade. I know I've made quite a few bad choices in grading. 10s are not guaranteed. Bell, also not sure. While a slab card can somewhat increase the value of a card and provide protection of your assets, and without any regard for the customers, they up and charge again a surcharge for giving a high grade. They need us as a consumer to guarantee they earn a living and line their pockets. You do the math at $20 at a minimum PSA gets per card. Multiply that times how many cards are slabbed each month. I know we'll probably say that the hobby as a whole endorses the pure existence of PSA or others. I remember in the 80s, we all anticipated the UPS man delivering the monthly Beckett at the card shop. Yes, this is Carl. It's not a scam. Everyone knows a PSA or SGC grade is just an opinion and that there's a human factor involved. Carl, maybe disappointment is what drives the crybabies to complain. Yeah. And that's it. That is it. Ended on an interesting one. Let me know what you think. Is grading a scam in your opinion? Who's benefiting the most? from the scam. In my opinion, if if everybody's benefiting, it's not really a scam. If the people who are submitting are benefiting, the company doing the grading is benefiting, the people doing the buying are benefiting, is it a scam? I don't know. I'm no expert, so I want your opinions. Let me know in comments and make sure you're subscribed to my newsletter, junkbackhero.com. I'll have a new issue on Monday. Thanks for watching.